200 million farmers, each making under 4,000 rupees per month, working 24/7, looking after their crops and doing back-breaking work each day, living in small houses with no electricity and no water. In India, there are farms that grow all sorts of fruits and vegetables, but in Maharashtra, the main crops are barley, millets, mangoes, cotton, oranges, pulses, rice, grapes, onions, sugarcane, wheat, turmeric, cauliflower, and chili. Another type of farming in India is poultry farming. In poultry farming, people make the food for the chickens. The food made is called poultry. When they feed the chickens this poultry, the chickens get fatter, and once they are fat enough, they are sold in the market as meat. All the poultry made is stored in a big tank called a silo. But the real question is agriculture a sustainable form of living for farmers in India? In India, not all farmers succeed. Some prosper, but some are in huge debts and suffer many losses. I visited a lot of different types of farms. For example, I visited an organic farm, a paddy farm, a poly house, a vineyard, a greenhouse, and even a poultry farm. All the farmers I met had one thing in common. They were not able to make a living out of just farming. They had to have another source of income. For example, the farmers who grow paddy only grew paddy in the rainy season, and the rest of the time they worked as laborers, because they are not able to support themselves just by farming. Another farmer, for example, I met in Nasik, owns a vineyard, but cannot depend on only selling grapes for money. So he invested in making a polyhouse, and now the polyhouse is a nursery for plants. A lot of times he sells these plants to his customers as a second source of income, and sometimes he uses these plants for his own agricultural purposes. So why are farmers not able to make a living out of just farming?
रेन के बिना हो नहीं सकता है, पानी के बिना अपना फार्मिंग शक्य नहीं है, तो लाइव लैंड देना है, नहीं कि बंजर जमीन.
But when you look around, majority of the farmers in India spoil the fertile land by using too many pesticides.
फार्मर्स को वेट के ऊपर हिसाब से पैसे मिलते हैं. तो फार्मर्स ने क्या उसका जो फ्लावरिंग स्टेज के बाद छोटा ग्रेप्स होता है, इसको बीकर में लेके 0.1 जिब्रालिक एसिड का सॉल्यूशन बनाया और उसमें डुबो दिया. ये दूसरा ऐसा डुबो दिया. वो मजदूर काम करते हैं.
Proper irrigation is expensive and not all farmers can afford it. You also need to get the water, which is not easy as the amount of water it takes to water all the plants is a lot, and that is why most farmers depend on rain for watering their crops. But no one can control the climate, and rain is unpredictable. Most of the time, the rain either spoils the crop or because there is no rain, the crop withers. But irrigation and soil are not the only things. For example, nowadays, labor is really expensive and not all farmers can afford it. Also, these farmers can only farm when they have electricity and water. So if the electricity and water comes at 2 a.m., they have to get up and go to work on the field at 2 a.m. And all the farmers I met were quite rich. For example, this farmer grows only organic crops, has gotten many awards from the Prime Minister of India, and also markets his own produce. He has a successful business where he makes a lot of money. But then what about the poor farmers? Met this one farmer at a wholesale market who was trying to sell his onions. He had gotten an offer of 2 rupees per kg and he had about 1800 kg of onions. That meant he would sell his produce for 3600 rupees. But the usual price farmers get is 10 rupees per kg, and this farmer needed at least 8 rupees per kg to cover just his expenses. Keeping in mind he has taken a loan from the bank, has a big family to feed, and already lost his first produce because the rain spoilt the crop. Like him, there are many more farmers in India that are in huge debt and have suffered many losses. To come out of debt, it will take a lot of time, and chances of succeeding are not very high. But what some farmers can do is switch over to poultry farming. I met this farmer who used to farm but then gave it up and started to do poultry farming instead. He has quite a big business.
850 पोल्ट्री
His business is very good for poor farmers because the poor farmers can benefit from his business. What this person does is he builds a shelter for the chickens on the farmer's farm. Then he provides the food for the chicken, and all the farmer has to do is take care of the chickens. That means the farmer has to feed the chickens and make sure none of them escape. The farmer is provided with food and water for his own health, and for every chicken he successfully takes care of, he gets 12 rupees. So in a 45-day cycle, the farmer makes 7,000 rupees. This is a really good business for farmers to get into, as it is less tiring, it's almost risk-free, and you can make a lot of money.